All right, everybody grab your Bibles and let's go to Ezra first. We did finish our study in the book of Ezra last week, but let's do a little reminder because I want to keep in mind what happened after the 70 years. Of course, we studied 1st, 2nd Chronicles, which was all that time leading up to them being kicked out of the country for 70 years in Babylon. But as prophesied, as promised by Isaiah and Jeremiah, God said it would only be 70 years, and then they would return, and they did. With the decree of Cyrus, who is named by name in Isaiah, before he was even born, before he was even a thought of there being a Persian king, he was named and said, he will let us come, and he did. In fact, look at Ezra chapter 1, verse 1. Ezra 1, verse 1, which is very similar to 2 Chronicles 36, last two verses. So it kind of runs from one book to the next. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom and put it also in writing. Is that important? Yeah. Once a king sitting on the throne put something in writing, it was like the word of a small little thing God. So it cannot be changed. Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. So the decree went out to specifically do what? Rebuild the temple. Zerubbabel went back as governor, and they brought a first wave of people back. And did they rebuild the temple? Yeah, eventually. They started with the altar and the sacrifices, and they started doing the foundation, got that up, and then people started opposing, right? And they got those who came after Cyrus, got them to stop it for a little bit, but then the next one came along and he got it going again. And they finally finished building the temple. And was everybody happy? Yes. But then sin started coming in. So God decided to use another king. Decree of Artaxerxes. Let's go to Ezra chapter 7. Anybody remember what the sin was?
Other gods?
Nope.
Mixed marriage.
Mixed marriages. Marriage to those of the people of the land, giving their sons to their daughters, taking their daughters for their sons. And was it just the people? No, it was the leaders. But again, God knew that. So he put it on the heart of Artaxerxes to do this. Ezra chapter 7, verse 12. Artaxerxes, king of kings, unto Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven, perfect peace, and at such time I make a decree that all they of the people of Israel and of his priests and Levites in my realm, which are minded of their own free will to go up to Jerusalem, go with thee. Go. For as much as you are sent of the king and his 7 counselors to inquire concerning Judah and Jerusalem, according to the law of thy God, which is in thine hand. Not only just sent them, but sent them with the law of God in their hand to go back. And specifically, verse 25 and 26, and you, Ezra, after the wisdom of your God that is in thine hand, set magistrates and judges, which may judge all the people that are beyond the river, all such as know the laws of thy God, and teach ye them and know them that know them not. And his specific job was to what? Go and teach them the law. And those who know it, remind them of the law. And that's what he did. He went back and immediately found out that they were intermarrying the nobles, the priests, those who know better should be the better example. They were doing it too. And of course, as we saw last week, that ended up with them basically putting all of those women out and sending them away. If they had children, sending them away too. Is that harsh? Yeah. But as we saw upstairs this morning, you do it God's way or you do it your way. Anybody going to fight them over it? Oh, remember during Chronicles when they would fight them over it? When they say, oh, that's too harsh. Oh, that's too mean. Oh, that's too much. What would happen? More sin, more sin, more sin, and then does God know? Yes. You got to do what's right. Should have done what was right to begin with. But now they did what was right. And it was a good thing. It's all good in my hand. They did it. Excellent. Now that leads to the third group. So first group, build the temple. Second one, let's get the law back in the land. It's God's idea, right? Using Artaxerxes, sent Ezra to get the law back, get the people's heart right with them. But now comes Nehemiah. So let's all go to Nehemiah, chapter 1. Where is Nehemiah? Well, he's still back in Babylon. Remember, all the people didn't go, right? It was a very small group the first time and a very, very small group the second time. Not everybody's going, and Nehemiah is one of those that stood back. And one of the reasons was he was very high up in the palace. So he stayed there. And it says in chapter 1, the words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah, and it came to pass in the month of Chislew, which everybody knows Chislew, right? That's right after, I don't know. In the 20th year, as I was in Shushan the palace, that Hanani, one of my brothers, came, and certain men of Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. So he is there. This is the 20th year of Artaxerxes. Okay. So this is sometime later, about, it's hard to tell between that and that, but this is the 20th year, much later in Artaxerxes' reign. And Nehemiah has some people come from Jerusalem, and he says, so, how's it going there? And they said, awful. Verse 3. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. And it came to pass when I heard the words, I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. So his first response, he's sad. It's been a while from the time that they went to rebuild the temple and rebuilt the temple. Don't you think they would have gotten around to building the wall by now? You'd think. Don't you think they'd gotten around to building houses and populating Jerusalem by now? You'd think. Now, God's first thing was, let's get the hearts right. But still, it's been a while between then and there, right? How come you're not? And that just puts them in constant fear, right? Constant attack. Even the house of God could be attacked at any time, right? So this is sad. We need to do something about that. So who does he turn to? Nehemiah always turns to God. His first response to anything is, let's pray. I like Nehemiah. His first, not second response, not third response, not last response after you've tried everything else. His first response is like he heard that news, and his first was, I'm going to fast and I'm going to pray. And what did he pray? Verse 5. And said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God that keeps covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Now don't fear that it says terrible. Yes. Not terrible as in rotten, but in fact, actually awful, awe-inspiring, one to be feared, one that's powerful, right? And he certainly is that. What does he ask? Verse 6, let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee, both I and my father's house have sinned. Very much like Ezra's prayer, right? Which is what? We have sinned. We have not done what's right. You are right to have kicked us out of there. You are right to have Jerusalem destroyed. But now you are also the merciful God, right? And you will show mercy and you will show love to those who keep your commandments. And by the way, how are they doing at this point? They're doing good. Remember? They got right with God. They should be moving forward. But doesn't that happen sometimes? Oh, God punished me and I repented, but then it's like I don't move forward. It was like, oh, well, he punished us. Oh, we got rid of all the women. Now we're right with God. Then we just sit there, right? And that's basically what's happening. They've done nothing. Verse 7. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments, which thou commanded thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if you transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. We read that this morning, right? Remember? Moses sat down with them and said, what? Choose you this day. Choose life and blessing, or what? Cursing and evil, death and evil, life and good. Which one are you going to choose? And looking at 1st and 2nd Chronicles, which ones do they choose? They choose the bad. And he said, no, we did that. Just as Moses told us, we knew it, and we deserve to be where we're at. Verse 9, but what does Moses also say? But if you turn unto me and keep my commandments and do them, though there were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven, yet I will gather thee from thence and will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there. You promised to bring us back, and has he? Well, he's brought them back here. He's brought them back here, and now what's he asking? Let's bring us more back, right? Bring more back that we may finish the wall. Verse 10, now these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant and to the prayer of thy servants, who desire to fear thy name, and prosper, I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer. So who does he want? He's saying, Lord, if we're going to rebuild that wall, if I'm going to go back and do that, who do I need permission from?
The king.
The king. And I'm his cupbearer. I have that, but you guys remember the story of Joseph? What happens when a cupbearer gets on the wrong side of the king? Ends up in prison, right? Now that guy got out, but the bread guy didn't. The baker didn't, right? You on the wrong side. He's going to have, kind of like, very much like, remember Esther, right? She was going to have to ask. She kind of balked. It's like, hey, let's do dinner. Hey, let's do dinner again. You're on the wrong side of a Persian king. It's off with your head, right? They'll hoist you on the highest petard, right? Whatever you're going to do. He says, I need his permission. I'm the cupbearer, but I need his permission. Lord, go before me. And is the Lord going to go before him?
Mm-hmm. It's his will.
Yes. Chapter 2. And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, which everybody knows is sometime after Chislev, the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him, and I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. And by the way, if you're a king, do you want some like grumpy, sad person handing you wine? No. Nehemiah was an upbeat guy, He seems kind of down, but that's not the way he usually was. Didn't usually get news like this. He's kind of a happy-go-lucky guy, and all of a sudden he gets this news, and now he looks sad as he's handing the cup to him. Does the king notice?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Verse 2, wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance, the facial features, countenance, sad? Are you sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of the heart. Then I was very sore afraid. You have sorrow of the heart. And the king noticed. Why is he afraid? Because again, the king could say, I don't like that. I don't like sad people around here. Why are you so sad? And get out of here. But the Lord, remember he prayed. Does he know who's on his side? He knows God's on his side. Verse 3, and he said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lies waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? They've been consumed for fire for a long time, by the way. Babylon burned them. That was a long, at least 90 years ago, over 100 years ago. And they're still not fixed. Then the king said unto me, for what dost thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven. There he is again. Here comes the point. King says, what do you want? Could it still go wrong?
Yes.
He could say, I want to go back. He says, nope, off with his head. So what does Nehemiah always do first?
Praise.
Pray. Is that a good thing to do?
Mm-hmm.
Lord, give me the words. Prepare his heart to hear what I'm about to say. Verse 5. I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if thy servant has found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. And this is a big ask. By the way, did the Persians like people who used to be enemies building walls? Building up their cities? Building things that could protect them from his invasions if he wanted to? Because if a city builds up walls, then they can say what? We don't want to pay any taxes. We want to rebel. And that he's got to come with his army, and then he's got to try to knock down. Isn't it better just they not have walls? Isn't it better if all these cities and the kingdom just didn't have walls? They didn't feel like they could say no. Is this a big ask? Don't think this is a small thing. This is a big thing. I want to rebuild the walls of the city of Jerusalem. Verse 6, and the king said unto me, the queen, also sitting by him. Well, that's an odd little statement. Most people believe that would be the queen mother. Anybody know what the queen mother's name is? It's more than likely Esther. Has God been planning this all along? Has God been working all along? Now, I cannot confirm that 100%, but most of them put that that's the timeline. That would be the timeline and the way that language is written. That is likely his mother, which is 100% sure Esther, because he had a lot of wives. But who did he like the best? Who would be the one? You know what I mean? That handed down to, more than likely it's Esther. Why else would you say? Because it's a big deal. But it's there. She's sitting there. For how long shall thy journey be, and when will you return? Notice his first thought is, how long do I have to get a replacement? Mm-hmm. You do a great job, man. I haven't been poisoned yet. That's awesome. That's your number one job. You've been doing great. Anybody know the number one reason a Persian king was killed? Number one reason was poisoning. They love to poison. Poison left and right. So that's why they all like cupbearers. But when are you coming back? Doesn't say. So it pleased the king to send me. I set him a time. What was it? I don't know. I gave him a time, and he sent me. Moreover, I said to the king, if it please the king, let letters be given to me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah. I need letters so that I can show. When they come and say, what are you doing here? I can say, going to Judah. King says so. Right? So can you do that? To who? Verse 8. A letter unto Asa, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, which appertain to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according to the good hand of my God upon me. Again, who does he give credit to? I prayed, God said yes. That's the only reason this happened. So I need letters to those rulers over there, so let me go. And I need a letter to the guy in the forest saying, give me timber. Enough for what? For all the gates, to gird up the wall, and to build me a house. When you're asking, you might as well ask, right? Build me a house too. And the king said, yes. And because God's hand was upon him. Verse 9, then I came to the governors beyond the river and gave them the king's letter. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. That helps too. Helps when you hand somebody a letter and say, oh, by the way, these are the king's guys. You want to challenge this? Nope. When Sanballat, remember these names, Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the servant and the Ammonite heard of it, it grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. They've had it good. Yes, the temple was there, but that was it. They could just harass the people. In fact, you get a picture later on that there's nobody really living in the city. There's a few nobles living there, and kind of the old nice houses. They kind of built those up. But that was about it. Nobody was really living. It was not a going concern. People were going there for the temple, but that was it. Was that make everybody else happy? That made everybody else happy. That it was not a going concern right now. So now they're concerned. Now he comes. So he gets the report. He is very sad. He appeals to the king. King gives him letters, and he goes. And he goes, and he comes to Jerusalem, and he decides to look around. Everybody, please take out your handy-dandy sheet. All right, there. Yeah, right there. So, I want you to picture this. See this big area here? That's the temple. Temple grounds. How many would agree it is quite large? Taking up a huge section of the city. And that's done. The temple is built, that right there, and the walls all the way around there. That's all looking good. What about the rest of it? The rest of the wall. What does it look like? It's in shambles. Goats could just kind of walk over it. Now, when Babylon did a job, they did a job. They just ripped down stone by stone, just threw them down. How many gates to the city are currently in operation? 0. You can walk through any of those gates. There's no posts. There's no bars. There's no doors. There's nothing. This is the city that he comes to. And he decides, first of all, to do a little inspection. And we're going to start here, right here at the valley gate. This is the valley here, and you'll see the valley gate. Who can find the valley gate? Right there. That's the gate he's going to come out of. Okay? To start his little inspection in chapter 2, verse 11. Has everybody got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Comes out of the valley gate. Chapter 2, verse 11. So I came to Jerusalem, was there 3 days. I want to note the last group. When they came, Ezra, they came there and also for 3 days. Most people think it's some kind of cleansing, right? You take a long journey, you take 3 days, you kind of recuperate, and then you start your business. So, because Ezra did exactly the same thing. Got there, waited 3 days, and then started their business. He did the same thing. 3 days, and then he arose. Verse 12. And I arose in the night, and I and some few men with me. Neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. They went very little with them to rebuild, right? And didn't tell anybody there why he was there, what God has put in his heart. And so he wanted to just look around and see how big a problem this is. Because remember, he hadn't been there. That was just based on a report, right? So how bad is it? How bad could it possibly be, Matthew? Horrible. Verse 13. And went out by night by the gate of the valley. Which gate? Valley gate. Everybody got it? Okay. Went out by the valley gate, even before the dragon well. Everybody see the dragon well? You go south along the wall, so he's inspecting the wall as he goes along, and he goes down by the dragon springs, also known as Jackal. I thought that was pretty cool. The dragon well. And to the dung port. That's the dung gate right at the bottom. Isn't it appropriate that the dung gate be at the end? What's a dung gate? Exactly what you think it is. Because how did they get around? Donkeys and horses and camels, and what do they all do? And they bring it all down there and shove it down the hill, right? That's where that was. So, and he went down along the dung port and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. Still, nobody thought to put these things back up the whole time. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain. So keep going up, go past the wall of the pool of Siloam to the what? Fountain gate. See the fountain gate there? But there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. It was so, his donkey or whatever he was on couldn't even get through that area. It was so much debris. Then I went up in the night by the brook and viewed the wall and turned back and entered by the gate of the valley and so returned. So he went up there and then he came what? Then he went back in through the valley gate. So how much did he inspect? Just that, and he's so discouraged. He's like, this is a mess. No gates, no walls. Everything torn down. Verse 16, and the rulers knew not whither I went or what I did, neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. I hadn't told anybody, but now I got an idea what we need to do. Verse 17, then said I unto them, he got them all together, said, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. Whose city is this? This is the city of David, the city of God. So how does it look? That God's people have been here 30, 40 years, and it still looks like this? How many would be a little ashamed? Yeah. And everybody be like, well, we got the temple. Yeah, but look at the rest of it. This is terrible. This is hideous. And anybody can come in at any time. No, this is not right. This is God's hill, right? We need to rebuild this. We need to do this. And what did he say next? Verse 18. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me. Again, this isn't just some guy coming in there saying, I think we ought to rebuild. This looks terrible. Who gave him this idea? Who put this on his heart? Who did he pray to for guidance? Who moved the heart of Artaxerxes to give him the letters and give him the wood and do all these things? He knows God's behind this. This is God's work. We need to do it. As also the king's words that he has spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. Can you just picture it? All going, yeah! Get all their hammers. We're like, yeah, let's go rebuild. Then you leave, and what do you forget? There's still an enemy. There's still those who don't want you to rebuild, right? And what are their names? Sanballat and Tobiah. Verse 19. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the servant the Ammonite and Geshem the Arabian, they're throwing them in here too, heard it, they laughed us to scorn and despised us, said, what is this thing that you do? Will you rebel against the king? What are you doing? King of Persia would hate this. You can't do this. You're just a bunch of nobodies. You're going to rebuild this thing. They're laughing at them, and then what does he pull out of his pocket?
A letter.
Then answered I them and said unto them, the God of heaven, he will prosper. Therefore we his servants will arise and build. But you have no portion, no right, no memorial in Jerusalem. I love that part because he doesn't pull out the letters. What does he do? This is God's. Yeah, the king. Yeah, I already showed you that. King says it's okay, but more importantly, whose project is this? This is God's project. We're going to get this thing done. Yes, we are. We're going to get to it later, but how long do you think it would take them to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem?
4 years.
4 years? Anybody have another guess? Lower. 2 years? Lower.
1 year.
Lower.
6 months.
Lower.
3 months.
Lower.
1 month.
52 days.
52 days. Which brings a question. How come they haven't done it yet? Again, we're going to get this to later because this is important. When they put their mind to it, and we're going to look at it next week, where the opposition is going to come. Are they going to have opposition from Sanballat and Tobiah? Of course. Are they going to have internal problems? People fighting against each other internally? Guess what? Yes, this is always what happens. When God's hand is behind it and his people are willing to follow him, can they get it done? Yes. 52 days. if they just would do it. Can we learn something from that? If God wants us to do it, we should what? We're going to face opposition. We're going to maybe internal struggles and jealousies and things like that. That can happen. But if we stay focused on the fact that God wants us to do this, can we do it? And will He accomplish His work? Yes. So, here's the fun part. You guys ready? Get out your chart again. Chapter 3. And you're going to start at the top, at the sheep gate. Anybody want to guess why the sheep gate is where it's at?
For sheep.
For the sacrifices. Yeah. The sheep gates are like, oh, cool. This is a really nice gate. Let's go through there. It's like, whack. Yeah, dumb sheep. But I don't know. It's kind of funny to me. So we're going to start at the sheep gate. All right, chapter 3. And there's a whole bunch of names and like that, but we're going to go through it and just follow along. Because this chart does a really good job of following along and go all the way around the city, and we're going to end up at the corner tower. By the way, how come that rest of that section between the corner tower and the sheep gate aren't done? Well, because that's part of the temple. That's been completed, right? Well, let's start. Chapter 3. Then Eliashib, the high priest, rose up with his brethren the priests, and they builded the sheep gate. They sanctified it and set up the doors of it, even unto the tower of Maya. They sanctified it unto the tower of Annandale. So which makes sense. Wouldn't the priest be in charge of the part that touches the temple grounds? Right? So they finished all that stuff and put in those gates, put in doors, and sanctified those areas. So that's good. Which brings up the question, why didn't they done that yet? That should have been kind of important to do that, but they finally got that done. Let's keep going. Verse 2. And next unto him builded the men of Jericho, and next to them builded Zakur, the son of Imri. But the fish gate did the sons of Hassaniah build, who also laid the beams thereof, and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof. So all the way. So they kept building on down, and then Hashanah, they took care of the gate. Okay, so everybody's working. How many like this? It's kind of like adopt a highway, right? We're going to take this section. Me and my sons, me and my family, we're going to take this section, and basically they're just giving out assignments. Work it around. And as we're going to see, some of them are like, well, that's near my house, so I'll take care of that one. That's in front of my yard, so I'm going to take care of that one, right? And the priests, of course, take care of that. The others take care of that, and we're going to keep going. Verse 4. And next to them repaired Maranatha, the son of Urijah, the son of Koz. And next unto them repaired Meshullam, the son of Bechariah, the son of Meshabil. And next unto them repaired Zadok, the son of Baanah. And next unto them the Techites repaired. But their nobles put not their necks to the work of their Lord. Uh-oh. Foreshadowing. This is going to become one of those internal problems. All those folks see this wall section right here. People were working, but who wasn't working? The people of money, people of substance. Those who are the royals. They're like, that's peasant work. That's a problem, right? Because who's also out there working? Nehemiah's working. The priest was working. Why do the nobles think they're so important? It happens, doesn't it? Verse 6. Moreover, the old gate repaired Jehoiada, the son of Pasaah, and Meshullam, the son of Besaiah. They laid the beams thereof, and set up the doors thereof, and the locks thereof, and the bars thereof. So look for the old gate. The gate of Yeshanah. Okay? So we're making pretty good progress, right? Let's keep going. Verse 7, and next unto them repaired Metaliah the Gibeonite, and Jadon the Morathite, the men of Gibeon of Mitzpah, unto the throne of the governor on this side of the river. So they kept on working on down. Okay. Verse 8, next to them repaired Uziel the son of Haraiah. I'm just guessing on. I'm just making up pronunciations here. Okay. Of the goldsmiths, next unto him also repaired Hananiah the son of one of the apothecaries. What are apothecaries?
Perfumers and sales specialists.
Yeah, perfumers, those, that sounds good, huh? And they fortified Jerusalem under the broad wall. And I like that because the goldsmiths and the perfumeries and stuff, they have skills. And yet, what are they doing? They're building. They're taking their hands and picking up big rocks and sticking them on that one and building with wood to structure and mount it. They're doing their job. They're not sitting there saying, oh, my hands are too delicate. Who's doing that? Nobles. Nobles of certain nobles, right? Let's see, verse 9. And next unto them repaired Rephaim, the son of Hur, the ruler of the half part of Jerusalem. So was it all the nobles? Look at this guy. Ruler of the half part of Jerusalem. This guy rich. This guy. Now, let's face it. Jerusalem's a dump, but there's not much there. But half of it he's in charge of, right? Half of the stuff going on. Yet, is he out there working? He's working. Those noble guys up there. What was their problem? We'll get to them later, right? 10. And next unto them repaired Jediah, the son of Harum. I love that. Harum. Even unto against the house, his house. So you can see some of these houses along the way. And you can see they kind of work. See Jedediah's house there? So that would kind of be that section there that we're coming along. Verse 11, Malchijah, the son of Haram, and Hashub, the son of Pahath Moab, repaired the other piece and the tower of the furnaces. So the furnace tower, you can kind of see that section. So, and you also see that broad wall and that kind of thing. So they're working on that section. So they keep going. Verse 13, the valley gate repaired Hanun, and the inhabitants of Zanoah, they built it and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof, and 1,000 cubits on the wall unto the dung gate. Boy, those guys did some work. How much work did they do?
A lot. All the way down.
They worked from there, set up that, and repaired all of that. In fact, most of what he saw, right, that he inspected, they put the work in. Those guys were workers, right? And they were able to repair all of that down to the dung gate. Verse 14.
Did it say on this thing section that was the section not totally destroyed?
Yeah.
So that probably helped a little bit.
Yeah, kind of starting from scratch. Yeah. So, and remember, not like they threw the stones away. They're all just laying around there in the valley and stuff. But yeah, haul them up the hill. You know, you got to get them and put them back in their places. But this is not easy work, but they did it. And how many days did it take them to do all this? 52 days. A little over a month. That's impressive, isn't it? Less than 2 months. But the dung gate repaired Malchiah, the son of Rehab, the ruler of part of Beth Hakarim. He built it and set up the doors thereof and locks thereof and the bars thereof. So they put his name on it. The dung gate, brought to you by. But the gate of the fountain repaired Shallum, the son of Kolhoseh, the ruler of part of Mitzvah. He built it and covered it and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof, and the wall, the pool of Siloah by the king's garden, and unto the stairs that go down from the city of David. So we start working up the other side, right? We're coming up this side with the pools and the stairs, and we're starting to work up the other side. There's a lot of work, isn't it? And they got to keep going? Yeah. Do you want me to read all of it? I thought it'd go about halfway through, and everybody'd be like, but you can see it, you get the picture. They keep going, and they keep going, and they keep building and building and building and building. In fact, let's pick up the story at verse 23. After him repaired Benjamin and Hashub up against their house. So if you look for Benjamin's house, and that's B. So we're up there. See that big B there? This is where we're at right now. That big letter B. That's Benjamin's house. So they start working on this side. So other people built all this up to there. Verse 24, and after him repaired Binnui, the son of Annandale, another piece from the house of Azariah. Azariah's house is A. If you look at the letter A. Unto the turning of the wall, even unto the corner. Palal, the son of Uzziah, over against the turning of the wall and the tower which lieth out from the king's high house, that was by the court of the prison. After him, Pedadiah and the son of Parash. So now they're working all the way up here, and you can see that corner. See where it says corner? So they're working all the way over here to this buttress. That's a lot of work. That's more than just building a wall. You're building reinforcements, you're building towers, you're building all that kind of stuff, and they're putting the work in, right? And getting that all done. Verse 26, moreover the Nethinims dwelt in Ophel unto the place over against the water gate toward the east, and the tower that lieth out. After them the Tekoites repaired another piece over against the great tower that lieth out, even unto the wall of Ophel. Why does it say another one? Because look at verse 5. Next to them the Tekoites. So Tekoites worked on this side over here, and where? Over here. And they're working on both sides. They're also one of the ones that the nobles weren't working. But people were, right? And they kept going. Verse 28. From above the horse gate repaired the priests, every one over against his house. So they lived. The priests lived along here. So they built along. That just makes sense, right? You build the wall outside your house. Because what do you not want? Somebody coming and taking your stuff. You come in and do that. Verse 29, and them repaired Zadok the son of Immer over against his house, after he repaired also Shemaiah the son of Shechariah, the keeper of the east gate. After him repaired Hananiah the son of Shelemiah, the Hanam, the sixth son of Zalaph. Another piece, after him repaired Meshullam, the son of over against his chamber. So most of these along here are really just, they're living there and they're rebuilding all the stuff that they need to rebuild, which is protecting their houses, but also the grounds of the temple, right? Might as well finish 31, 32. After him repaired Malchaniah, the goldsmith's son, unto the palace of the Nethinims, and the merchants over against the gate Mithkad, and to the going up of the corner, and between the going up of the corner unto the sheep gate, repaired the goldsmiths and the merchants. So there were some business people and stuff like that. And they're like, we're going to work that. Who's working? There's one little group of nobles that aren't. But other than that, people are coming from outside. People are coming from Jericho. People are coming, and they're rebuilding the wall. And it took them 52 days to do it. How many are happy about that? Yay! But was it easy? In fact, go to Daniel chapter 9. And we'll look at this next week. Chapter 3 makes it sound like, oh yeah, everybody did their part. Everything was great. But this event, this rebuilding of the walls and the city of Jerusalem, is one of the most important events in human history. That's kind of overstating it, is it? No. It isn't. It's one of those few times that God puts a marker down and says, from this point, start counting. And he told that to Daniel. Well, Daniel was a counselor to the Persian king, right? And in chapter 9, verse 24, it reads, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people. 77s, 490 years. God says, I will finish my work with my people and cleanse them and bring them to me over a period of 490 years. Okay? And how do we count those times? Verse 24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, Jerusalem, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy, Jesus Christ. 490 years to finish the work, which will include what? The death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and the second coming of Jesus Christ, when he will establish in Jerusalem his reign for 1,000 years, which will lead to the new Jerusalem and the new heaven and new earth. So this is pretty important. And when does the clock start on this 490-year period? Verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem. This is an important event because that started the clock. And from that point unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, first a 49-year period, and then a 62 weeks, a 494 years. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in what? Troublous times. It ain't going to be easy. There's going to be a 49-year period during which Jerusalem will be finished. Now you say, wait a minute. I thought it only took 52 days. It took 52 days to build the walls. It took much, much longer to rebuild the city. When they got the walls done, they looked around and said, yeah, nobody lives here, though. There are no houses. There's no places, there's no streets. So it took them longer to rebuild all the things and make Jerusalem a city again. 49 years to rebuild Jerusalem, as it says, not just the walls, but the streets as well. 49 years, and then another period of time until Jesus comes, and he will ride into that city through those gates that you repaired, and he will establish his kingdom, right? So we're going to see more of that as we go along, but let's look next week at those troublous times. What kind of troubles could come along? You're just rebuilding a city. What's the big deal? Well, a lot of big deals. And we've seen some of it already. There's going to be some internal issues, what the nobles are doing. But there's also going to be the attacks from the outside. I just love the picture. We'll see you next week where everybody, as they were building, here's the amazing thing. They got it done in 52 days, one-handed. Because basically they were having to work with one hand and hold a sword with another. Talk about handicapping yourself. It was hard. They had to constantly be ready for attacks as they were rebuilding it, but they still got it done. Was God faithful? So, sometimes God said, do something amazing. And we may say, I can't do it. But with God's help, can we do it? Yeah. And what did Nehemiah do whenever there was a problem? Prayed. We're going to see that more next week too. Got a problem? Pray. And let God take care of it, right? And he will. Let's pray.